The rest stop was bathed in the soft glow of flickering fluorescent lights, the air filled with the distant hum of passing traffic. Teresa stared out of the car window, her excitement for the luxury resort fading with each passing mile. The uneasy tension between her and Hector hung thick in the air. As the car rolled to a stop at the desolate rest area, Hector turned to Teresa, his eyes avoiding hers. "Teresa," he said with an insincere smile, "I think it's best if you stay here. The family and I will have a much better time without you." The words hit her like a slap, and Teresa's heart sank. "What do you mean?" she stammered, desperation creeping into her voice. "Why would you leave me here?" Hector's gaze remained indifferent, detached. "Look, Teresa, it's a family thing. You wouldn't enjoy it anyway. Just stay here. Someone will pick you up." Teresa, eyes welling with unshed tears, watched in disbelief as Hector sped away, leaving her stranded at the rest stop. The sound of his car engine gradually faded into the distance, replaced by the deafening silence of the empty highway. Alone, Teresa clutched her purse, feeling the weight of abandonment settle upon her shoulders. The rest stop, once a nondescript waypoint, became a symbol of shattered dreams and broken promises. She dialed her uncle's number with trembling fingers, the phone's ring piercing the desolation of the deserted rest area. "Uncle Tony, it's Teresa," she choked out, her voice betraying the vulnerability she desperately tried to conceal. "I need you to pick me up." As she waited, the cold wind rustled through the empty spaces, echoing the loneliness that now enveloped her. The rest stop, once a mere pit stop on a journey, had become the starting point of a painful chapter in Teresa's life. In the days following the abandonment at the rest stop, Teresa found solace in her uncle's comforting presence. As he drove her home, the weight of betrayal lingered, and the luxurious bouquet of flowers Hector brought seemed like a feeble attempt to mend a chasm that ran too deep. Teresa's small apartment offered a refuge from the opulence she had glimpsed within Hector's family. The stark contrast between their extravagant lifestyle and her modest dwelling became painfully apparent. Yet, in the simplicity of her home, Teresa found a genuine sense of belonging that had eluded her for far too long. One evening, as she stood by the window overlooking the city lights, Uncle Tony broached the subject delicately. "Teresa," he began, choosing his words with care, "I know Hector's family is wealthy, but wealth doesn't buy happiness." Teresa nodded, her eyes reflecting a mix of gratitude and sorrow. "I've been living a facade, Uncle Tony. The luxury, the grandeur. It's all a mask. I can't keep pretending." Her uncle placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You deserve genuine happiness, not a life built on appearances." Despite her resolve, Hector's persistent attempts to woo her back intensified. One evening, he arrived at her door with a lavish gift box. "Teresa, please," he implored, desperation evident in his eyes. "I made a mistake. Let's go back to the way things were." Teresa, steel in her gaze, shook her head. "Hector, this isn't about gifts or apologies. It's about trust and respect. The luxury you offer is just a mask for the emptiness within." The door closed slowly, shutting out not only Hector, but the illusions of opulence that had clouded Teresa's judgment for too long. As she turned away, she knew that the pursuit of genuine happiness required shedding the mask of luxury and embracing the authenticity she had rediscovered in the simplicity of her own life. Teresa's decision to distance herself from Hector's elaborate charade of wealth didn't go unnoticed by his family. The opulent mansion, adorned with extravagant decorations, became a symbol of the stark contrast between Teresa's life and the facades they projected. During a family gathering, Hector's mother, Eleanor, approached Teresa with a patronizing smile. "Teresa, dear, "Have you ever considered how much more comfortable you'd be here with us?" she suggested, gesturing towards the spacious living room. Teresa, unyielding, maintained her composure. "I appreciate the offer, Eleanor, but I'm content with my own space. I don't need grandeur to feel at home." Eleanor's smile faltered momentarily, but she quickly recovered. "Oh dear, I understand. But family should be together. We could help you upgrade your lifestyle." Teresa's patience wore thin. "My life is not up for discussion, Eleanor. I value my independence, and I won't compromise it for the sake of appearances." As the evening unfolded, Teresa found herself cornered by other family members, each expressing similar sentiments. The pressure to conform to their standards intensified, but Teresa stood her ground. Days later, Hector took her aside, attempting to reason with her. "Teresa, this is about our future together. You need to adapt to our lifestyle. It's for the best." Her eyes hardened as she responded, "Hector, I married you, not your family's wealth. I won't surrender my identity to fit into your opulent facade. I want a life built on love and respect, not on material possessions." As Teresa distanced herself from the glittering illusion, she realized that true happiness wasn't found in the hollow echoes of wealth, but in the authenticity of one's choices. The mansion, once a symbol of aspiration, now stood as a reminder of the isolation she refused to endure any longer. The day of their first wedding anniversary and Teresa's birthday dawned with an air of anticipation, tinged with the bitter memories of the abandoned rest stop. Hector, seemingly remorseful, promised a grand celebration at a luxurious resort, hoping to mend the fractures in their relationship. As they drove towards the opulent destination, Teresa couldn't shake the lingering unease. The scenic views passed by in a blur, and the promise of celebration felt hollow against the backdrop of recent betrayals. Arriving at the resort, Hector guided Teresa towards the entrance with forced enthusiasm. "This place is incredible, Teresa. I promise you'll have the time of your life," he assured, his eyes avoiding hers. Teresa, suppressing skepticism, forced a smile. "I hope so, Hector. I truly do." The day unfolded with a facade of joy. Expensive gifts and lavish meals adorned the celebration, yet a palpable tension simmered beneath the surface. As the evening wore on, Hector excused himself, promising to return shortly. Left alone at a picturesque rest stop, Teresa anxiously awaited his return. Minutes turned into an agonizing hour, and the promise of celebration transformed into a cruel mirage. The echoes of Hector's departure mirrored the past, an anniversary tainted by abandonment. Eventually, Teresa's phone buzzed with a message. "Sorry, something came up. I'll be back for you later." The emptiness of his words intensified the ache in her heart. With no one to turn to, Teresa dialed her uncle's number, her voice trembling as she recounted the all-too-familiar tale of abandonment. "Uncle Tony, I need you to pick me up again." In the solitude of the rest stop, Teresa faced the harsh reality that the vows exchanged on their wedding day were but empty promises. The grand anniversary celebration became a cruel reminder of the illusions she had desperately clung to, unraveling amidst the opulence that masked the profound loneliness of her marriage. Teresa's spirit, resilient despite the repeated betrayals, emerged from the wreckage of her anniversary. The cold truth of Hector's indifference and the suffocating presence of his family pressed her to a breaking point. It was time to break free. A storm raged outside as Teresa sat in the dimly lit living room, contemplating her future. The flickering candlelight cast shadows on her determined face. The sound of rain against the windowpane mirrored the turmoil within her. The following morning, as the sun timidly broke through the clouds, Teresa took a decisive step. She gathered her strength and faced Hector, who attempted to downplay the events of the previous night. "Hector, we need to talk," Teresa said, her voice steady. "I can't continue living like this. Your actions speak louder than any promises." Hector, seemingly caught off guard, stammered, "Teresa, please, let's not make hasty decisions. We can work through this." But Teresa had reached a point of no return. "Hector, I've given this marriage my all, but it's clear that it's not enough for you. I deserve respect and commitment, not empty apologies. I want a divorce." The room fell into a heavy silence as the weight of her words settled. Hector, realizing the gravity of the situation, attempted one last plea. "Teresa, think about the life we could have. You don't have to struggle. My family can provide for us." Her eyes, filled with determination, met his. "I won't trade my happiness for a life of empty luxury. I want to be free, Hector. I want a life where I'm valued, not tolerated." As the divorce proceedings unfolded, Teresa faced scrutiny and judgment from Hector's family. The condescending remarks echoed louder, but her resolve remained unbroken. The decision to break free wasn't just about leaving a marriage. It was about reclaiming her identity and forging a path to genuine happiness. With each legal document signed, Teresa severed the final ties that bound her to a life of pretense and mistreatment. The echoes of her footsteps leaving the courtroom marked the beginning of a new chapter, one where she would define her worth and build a life on her terms. Amidst the emotional upheaval of divorce, an unexpected letter arrived at Teresa's doorstep. The envelope bore the insignia of Hector's family, stirring a mix of curiosity and apprehension within her. As she opened the letter, the neatly written words revealed a surprising twist in her narrative. "Hector wishes to inform you that, upon your mother's passing, you have inherited her inn business," the letter stated, detailing the location and legalities of the property. Teresa's initial shock gave way to a wave of conflicting emotions. The inn, a legacy from her late mother, represented a connection to her roots. However, the timing of this revelation, amid the turmoil of divorce, felt suspicious. Unsure of how to process the news, Teresa decided to confide in her closest confidant, Uncle Tony. As she shared the contents of the letter, he listened attentively, concern etched across his face. Uncle Tony sighed, choosing his words carefully. "Teresa, this inheritance could be a way to sway your decision. Be cautious and think about what you truly want." A week later, Hector appeared at Teresa's doorstep, a strained smile on his face. "Teresa, I hope you received my letter. This inn could be our fresh start, away from all the chaos. We could rebuild together." Teresa, arms crossed, met his gaze with unwavering resolve. "Hector, this isn't about a business. It's about respect and trust. I won't let material possessions define my happiness." Hector, frustrated, retorted, "You're being stubborn, Teresa. This could secure our future." Her response was resolute. "I've made my decision, Hector. My future lies in a life free from manipulation and mistreatment." As the echoes of their conversation faded, Teresa grappled with the complexity of her emotions. The inn, a symbol of her mother's legacy, tugged at her heartstrings. However, Teresa remained steadfast in her commitment to forge a new path, one that prioritized authenticity over the tempting allure of financial stability. With the inn's deeds in hand, Teresa faced a crossroads, succumbed to the pressure of the past, or embrace the uncertainty of a future defined by her own choices. The inheritance, once a potential bargaining chip, became a pivotal moment of self-discovery in Teresa's journey toward true independence. With the ink on the divorce papers still fresh and the weight of her mother's inn business in her hands, Teresa found herself at a pivotal crossroads. The final chapter of her tumultuous marriage had closed, but the uncertainty of what lay ahead loomed large. As she stepped into the quaint inn, memories of her mother flooded Teresa's mind. The scent of lavender, her mother's favorite, lingered in the air. The creaking floorboards echoed with the laughter and warmth of bygone days. It was a place that held not just the promise of financial stability, but also the legacy of resilience passed down through generations. Uncle Tony, always a pillar of support, accompanied Teresa as she explored the inn. "Teresa, your mother built this place from the ground up. It's a part of who you are," he remarked, his eyes reflecting both pride and concern. Teresa nodded, her fingers tracing the contours of her mother's old desk. "I want to honor her legacy, Uncle Tony, but I won't let it define my choices. I need to build a life on my terms." The first step in her journey towards independence involved renovating the inn. The sound of construction echoed through the halls as Teresa transformed the space, not just physically but metaphorically, breathing new life into the worn-out corners that held memories of both joy and sorrow. One afternoon, as she oversaw the renovations, a man named Alex, a local contractor, approached her. "Teresa, right? Your uncle mentioned you might need some help with the place." She smiled gratefully. "Yes, Alex. I want to make this inn a haven, a place where people can find solace and joy. Can you help me bring that vision to life?" As the inn began to take shape, so did Teresa's newfound sense of freedom. The scent of fresh paint mingled with the aroma of home-cooked meals in the inn's kitchen. The rooms, once filled with the ghosts of the past, were now infused with the promise of a brighter future. One evening, Uncle Tony sat with Teresa on the inn's porch, the sun setting in hues of orange and pink. "You've come a long way, Teresa," he observed, pride evident in his eyes. Teresa nodded, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "This inn is more than a business. It's a sanctuary, a place where I can rebuild and redefine my life." As the days turned into weeks, the inn flourished under Teresa's care. The locals embraced the rejuvenated establishment, and word spread of the inn's transformation, not just physically, but as a symbol of Teresa's resilience. One morning, as she sipped coffee in the inn's cozy dining area, a letter arrived. It wasn't from Hector or his family. It was from her estranged husband's father. The letter expressed regret for his son's actions and offered support for Teresa's new venture. With a renewed sense of purpose and a community rallying behind her, Teresa realized that her journey wasn't just about breaking free. It was about building a life filled with authenticity, love, and the promise of a new beginning. The inn, once a silent witness to her struggles, became a testament to her strength, a haven where Teresa, alongside her child, and those who believed in her, could finally find the happiness she deserved.